So, Brian, do you want to take us away with trend number 5? What do you think's going on?
Well, I think what's interesting in the services space is we're going to see something called I called it consumer reports comes to services. And what this is all about is there hasn't been a whole lot of transparency around service firms and the kind of companies that a client might want to hire. And I've certainly lived that in spades. I'm what's called a buy-side industry analyst. I get my money from helping buyers of technology, not necessarily the sellers. And as a result, clients often struggle when they can pick some new technology, but then when they're ready to get it implemented or integrated, what have you, they really are lost as to who to pick. And when they look at the different proposals and RFP responses, whatever, from different implementers, they all kind of look the same. Everyone says that, people are a number one asset and we're all about customer service. And they've got they're long on platitudes and short on real proof points. Mm-hmm. It's gotten to the point where a lot of my clients, they want some objective survey-based, whatever kind of tool that helps them understand who really does deliver when it comes to work with clients. And that's why there are companies like Raven Intel out of Chicago that are doing all of that kind of work. And now they're focused right now initially on the HR market, and they're moving into other, horizontal apps, including a little bit in the professional services space. And they're a godsend. I can tell you firsthand, I've called them in. It doesn't cost you anything to give me their rankings and, of different integrators in, when doing software selection projects. And I think we're going to see more and more of this in the space. And if I were an integrator or implementer right now, a service firm, I'd want to get ahead of this trend. Companies are tired of integrators not exposing their conflicts of interest. They're tired of getting referrals from software companies of somebody's brother-in-law that has a service company and a whole bunch of other kind of behaviors that are not necessarily geared toward helping the customer be successful and pick an economically, viable kind of candidate here for an implementer. It's all about connections and relationships and things that really don't matter when it comes to, project success. So we're going to see more and more of this coming. I hope the Raven Intel folks keep moving into more and more areas, but they're definitely already starting to move into professional services a bit.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I think the interesting trend I've seen over the years, having grown up in the sort of, certainly from a software perspective, like, the Gartners and the Forresters and great people like that, but also the emergence of this crowdsourcing, this true opinion of what my implementation of software was like. There's no bells and whistles or filter through anything. I get to put a review on a website and people read that review. What are your thoughts on that crowdsourced style of reporting and analyst work?
It has value. It also has a few problems. And I'll give you one example. If you ask somebody who recently bought, let's say, a big software package from one of the major vendors, it turns out that most people's marriages don't even last as long as how long people will hold on to a particular major software product. So it's not uncommon to talk to people who've been using the same piece of software at their company for 10, 15, 20 years. Yes. And they haven't looked at what other alternative products have available. So it's hard for them, I think, to give an objective assessment sometimes of what's going on there. So when you crowdsource, there is going to be some bias in the answers. But I think the key thing, and this I've seen with service rankings when you do this kind of crowdsourcing is, man, there are some vendors that can get like a 4.8 or 4.9 on a 5-point Likert scale. And then there are those that are down at the 3 level. And if you're way down there, you got a problem. And if you're a service firm and you haven't done a legitimate, and I want to underline that word, a legitimate net promoter score assessment to find out what people, will your clients actually recommend you? You may be in for some pretty scary surprises, when these crowdsourced kind of evaluations come in.
Yeah, definitely. An interesting point. So you put a lot of value on Net Promoter Score as an indicator.
I only do when it's done legitimately.
Okay. Yes.
I think we've all like bought a car and had a salesperson come over, nod, wink, and hey, if you give us all 10s on our net promoter deal here, we'll give you a free oil change. That's not a legitimate response. That is a gamed response, and there's been a lot of that going on. By the way, a lot of service companies install software, and one of the things you'd be amazed to find out is a lot of the software vendors out there have net promoter scores down around the negative 50 range. And you talk about a space in the tech world that needs some improvement in how they interact with customers. That's it.